Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining me today in the Locher Room. I'm Alan Locher. Judith McConnell was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and started dance class at the age of 6. She has continued with dance for most of her life and takes a weekly tap and jazz class still today. She attended the renowned Carnegie Mellon School of Acting. Upon leaving CMU, Judith went to New York City and immediately landed a commercial. Shortly thereafter, she was offered a role in a pilot that took her to Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, she started booking work, doing an original Star Trek and booking recurring roles on Dragnet, the Beverly Hillbillies, Mayberry RFD, Green Acres, and guest starring on Mannix, The Streets of San Francisco, and so many others. She also worked in theater at the Rocking Chair Playhouse and the Century City Playhouse. Her first daytime role, as daytime fans will remember, was on General Hospital playing Augusta McLeod. Then New York City came calling her back for a role on As the World Turns playing Valerie Conway, Another World where she played Miranda Bishop, and One Life to Live's Eva Vasquez. She soon returned to Hollywood for the part of Sophia Capwell on Santa Barbara. Fans have been asking me to invite Judith here, and I'm thrilled she said yes. Please welcome to the Locher Room, Judith McConnell.
Hi.
Hi, Judith.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing this.
This is fun. Thank you.
And you did it all yourself. Yeah. I love it when people can figure out technology. What do you remember about growing up in Pittsburgh? I have a lot of friends who are there.
Oh, you do? We lived in the suburbs outside of the city in a place called Bethel Park. And it was green and lovely and cold in the winter as you could hardly stand it. But it was very suburban and big yards and nice people. And I didn't really discover the city of Pittsburgh so much until I was older. And obviously then I got more involved in what you would do in the city. And also Carnegie Mellon is right on the edge of the city. But it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, Carnegie Mellon's like right across the street from University of Pittsburgh too, if I recall. Yeah. So starting dance class at age 6, was it something your mom or dad put you in?
I don't think, I just wanted to dance. It was just always something that I wanted. I wanted to be an actor from the time I was a little girl. And I wanted to dance, and it was just so much fun for me. So they kind of followed my lead. You know, this okay if she wants to do that. Yeah.
Wanting to act from as far back as you can remember, was there a trigger, a TV movie, an actress?
I don't remember. I think it's just that I had a vivid imagination. And when, our first day at Carnegie Mellon, we were in an assembly, all the actors, the freshman class, and they said, all right, how many of you played alone and had rich imaginary characters in your mind? And everybody put up their hand. So I'm still very close friends with a woman that she and I met in 2nd grade when my family moved to Bethel Park. And the teacher said, all right, now, Mary Lee, I want you to take care of Judy Lynn. I was Judy Lynn then. And please don't call me that.
I won't. I did notice in that Beauty and the Beast program that you were Judy.
It was Judy. Yeah, I changed it. I just decided to do Judith. I think I was about 28, and I went to the Philippines to do a movie. And I just said I said, my name is Judith. And I like that so much better. But
were you born Judith, though?
What?
Were you born Judith, or you just changed it?
My mother and father named me Judy Lynn, like Mary Lee, that little double Mary Jane, that double name that was popular in the 40s. However, she told me that the nurses, when they were filling out the birth certificate information, said, oh, no, you have to put Judith down. And my mom didn't want that. She wanted Judy Lynn. But so in my birth certificate, it does say Judith. So anyway, the story I was going to tell you about being in the imagination and being an actor. I'm still friends with this Mary Lee, who I met in second grade, and she and I are very close still. And I would direct her in shows, and I say, okay, now we've got a dress shop, and this and this, and then you're going to come in and you're going to say this, and then I'm going to say this, and that. And I was doing this with her when we were in second grade.
Wow.
And she did everything I told her. She absolutely followed my directions just great. We laugh about it now. And she has been very successful in finance. And but I was the one that had all the things in my head, the pictures.
But she didn't go to Carnegie Mellon, did she?
No.
You did. I mean, Carnegie Mellon, an illustrious group of talented people have come out of there. Yeah,
it's amazing.
It really, I don't think there's another school like it that you've seen that kind of breadth of talent. So amazing.
And also in the art school, I mean, it's renowned for its engineering school. And my father went there as an engineer. Oh. And he said, I never thought my daughter would be one of those crazy dramats over in the art school.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm sure there was competition between the theater and the engineers, right? If that's what they were both doing.
The architectural school and the art school and the painting and design and I mean, it's really extraordinary. And it has been for so long.
Crazy. You also are a former Miss Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what do you remember about that? What stands out in your mind from pageant days?
It was a strange experience. I didn't have any fantasies about wanting to be in the Miss America pageant, and I had taken a year off school, and I ended up doing a lot of theater and because Allegheny County, which is where Pittsburgh is, had never had a Miss Allegheny County as the rest of the state of Pennsylvania had in their counties, they decided, the Junior Chamber of Commerce decided that they would do a Miss Allegheny County to go to the Miss Pennsylvania thing. And so they were looking for contestants. And I had worked at the Pittsburgh Playhouse. And so someone suggested me and they called and I said, what? And I was like this kind of grungy artist. I was, wearing black and crave. And my parents were just so excited. And they kept saying, you do it. Just audition, just do. So I did the first audition. And they said, great. And the funny thing is I was doing a classic play because I was studying the classics, and it was Miss Julie, August Strindberg's Miss Julie. And the scene I did was the castration scene. She's saying, I'd like to see the whole of your sex swimming in a pool of blood. And here I am.
And you still got it?
And so when I won, then I went to the local and I won that. Then I went to the state, and someone very nicely suggested that since it is televised, possibly I could come up with another scene instead of the castration scene from Miss Julie.
I can't imagine on the television, back then. They would have.
So I did. I went to the Carnegie Library and found all the public domain books I could find on St. Joan, who actually never existed really when you study it. And so I wrote my own scene, and I used that all the way through the Miss America thing.
Wow. How far did you get?
I was not in the top 10, but I won, they called the Grand Talent Award, which was pretty nice. And that was, an honor. And if they had seen Strindberg's Miss Julie, though, they would have just given me the whole thing. So that was nice. And it was also scholarship money.
That was great.
Yeah.
And after CMU, you went first to New York City, right? To the Big Apple?
I did. I
What
went
made
to
you
New York
choose
and
Big Apple first?
yeah, because I wanted to work in the theater. That was, what I trained for and what I knew. We didn't get any, they do it now, but at that time, we didn't get any training for on camera at all.
Gotcha.
So the first thing I booked was a commercial, and I had no idea what to do. I walked on the set and saw the cameras and the cables and all that stuff they've got. And I thought, God, what is this? And I didn't know about hitting a mark. Nothing, but I learned.
You either sink or swim, right?
That's right. When I came out to Los Angeles to do this pilot, I was very nervous, and one day on set, I had a scene with the lead, and I had the third lead in the pilot, and I just talked myself down. I said, breathe, you know how to act, you know what you're doing, just do your work. I said to myself, do your work. So my line was, Mr. Judd, will Jamie live? And Jamie was someone that we wanted to live because he could tell us who murdered the whatever, I don't remember. But it was so important whether Jamie lived or not. So they said, all right, and we got him in mark and that cameras and things like that. And it was to the character of Mr. Judd, and he was off camera because it was my close-up. And so I'm doing all this thinking, and I'm getting tears, and I'm getting all this emotion. And they said action, and I looked up, and I said, Mr. Judd, and I ran to him. I had to get around the camera that was on my close-up to get to the actor, so I could say, "Will Jamie live?" And it was just cut. And there was silence on the set. It was just awful. I was just mortified.
Oh,
and I hadn't even any idea what I'd done because I was getting so wrapped up in the action I had to play. Well,
that is one of the best stories I think I've heard.
It was awful. It was just awful.
I take it the pilot didn't make it.
Pilot made it without me.
Oh,
yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah, they wrote the character out.
Well, you did book Star Trek. You were in the original Star Trek series. What's it like being part of the Trekkie universe?
Well, we didn't know it then. I mean, we didn't, it was just a show that had been on for not even a full season, I don't think.
Early.
But Leonard Nimoy was we'd read through the script, table read. And he would sit there with his ears, he had his ears on, and he'd just glare at me. He'd give me the dirtiest look. And it was like, what? It was so weird. Bill Shatner was terrific. He was funny and fun and sweet. And they were nice guys, except, I don't know what Nimoy was doing. He was just messing with me, I guess.
Yeah, or he was, really in character.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's amazing, how that show has lived on. And
I know. It's a phenomenon.
Yeah, really. It totally is. And then you appeared in so many primetime series. Do you, I mentioned some of them, Get Smart, the Beverly Hillbillies, Marcus Welby, Dragnet, Mod Squad. Do you have a favorite?
I did 2 Get Smarts, and it was fun. I played 2 different characters.
Loved that show. That show. His phone, his shoe phone.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was a nice crew. It was a nice group. I did Green Acres. And I did a part, I think I did 7 shows or something. They brought me on to be Ebb's, the character Ebb's girlfriend. And I think the ratings were, it was like their last year, and the ratings go down. So they, bring on the young faces, which is, I've lived through that as an older actor. They bring on the young faces to think the ratings will go up. But Ms. Gabor was not thrilled. There was a young woman on the show with her. She had apparently, this is gossip, I don't know if it was true or not, in her contract that there wouldn't be any women younger than she on the show. However, they were, and they were both producers, so they were worried about ratings. So I guess they talked her into allowing. And so I got cast, and Darlene was my name. And she was not friendly.
Wow.
She wouldn't look at me, even though when we were doing a scene together, and then she wouldn't talk to me directly. And she would say, she called me the ingenue. And she'd say, will you please tell the ingenue to move over there?
Wow. Talk about making somebody feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was, and she, because she was the only woman, there was only one makeup artist, and it was her makeup artist. So I didn't have anyone, to do makeup, and it's television makeup, so it's different than. And when she wasn't there, he called me over and said, "Come on, honey, I'll do your makeup." I said, "Okay, thank you."
Before he gets into any trouble. What do you remember about Tom Lester, who played Ebb?
He was that character. He was a nice, sweet guy, and he just, was like a farm guy, and very serious soul and very nice. But he really was that guy. There was no sophistication. It was just real, genuine kind of country bumpkin guy.
That's great. Well, your first daytime role was General Hospital.
Yeah.
And your character murdered the character of Phil Brewer.
Yeah. What
do you recall, and what do you think you learned from your General Hospital experience?
Well, that's another home television medium, so it's so fast, and, you're doing an hour show a day. And so there's all the dialogue to learn, and you just rip through stuff quickly. But Bridget Dobson was writing the show. Her mother, Doris Hersley, created the show. And Bridget was writing when I was hired. And I didn't want to do a soap opera. And my agent said, we send you over to General Hospital. I said, I don't want to do a soap. Of course, agents want you to be on a soap because they get 10% every day you work. And my career was just really starting to go nicely, and I was getting one job after another. And I wanted nighttime television. I wanted film. I didn't want to, because soaps were not considered prestigious. So I said, I don't want to do it. Well, just go over and meet with the producer. No, just all right. So I went over and I met with Jim Young, was his name. And I really had a chip on my shoulder. I was just kind of bitchy, and that's exactly what they were looking for. And he hired me without even doing an audition. He called me and she said, wow. I said, I don't want to do it. So that was the start of my soap career. So I did General Hospital for 3 years.
You didn't want it, but by the end, did you did your feelings change?
By the end, what?
You didn't want it when the offer
came.
My
feelings changed?
Yeah, did your feelings change?
There was always the conflict of if I continue in daytime, I won't be considered for nighttime or film, which is true. But I got really used to the money. It was really nice. And
a steady paycheck.
So much of our lives we're looking for work. So to be able to work week after week and year after year, it's nice. It really feels great. So there's a
steady paycheck goes a long way.
huh?
A steady paycheck goes a long
Steady
way.
paycheck is a lovely thing. It's a lovely thing.
You played opposite Martin.
I was written out of General Hospital, and I thought, good. Now I'm going. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't buy good scotch anymore. I had to buy the cheap stuff. And I thought,
That's so funny. At General Hospital, you worked with Martin West and Craig Huber.
Martin West, who was, and the interesting thing about, I was going to say that Bridget Dobson was writing the show, and she came out. She was the first to come up with the Who Killed story, where they're like 4 or 5 actors tape or film the killing, and then the audience has to get, and they did it very successfully on Dallas. Was it Dallas? Who Killed JR?
JR, yeah.
Yeah. But Bridget was the one that first came up with that. So on the Who Killed Phil Brewer. But the ratings were low, and Bridget was let go. And when they let the head writers go, then new head writers come on and change all the stories. So then they let all the actors go that were on the old stories. So that's what happened. I think I was on it like 2.5 years. But Bridget then wrote Santa Barbara. Bridget and Jerry Dobson created Santa Barbara, and that's how I ended up on Santa Barbara.
Wow. Well, and you had a couple of shows in between.
Yeah.
From General Hospital, you moved to Oakdale and As the World Turns.
As the World Turns.
Dear friends of mine, Catherine Hayes and Don Hastings.
What
do you recall about your time in Oakdale?
Don Hastings was just such a joy to work with. I mean, he's so funny. He's so funny.
One of the funniest, isn't he?
Because he's serious on stuff. Oh God, he's funny. He's just witty and clever, and I just loved him so. It was fun. I mean, it was really nice. And what I loved is I was living in New York City then, and living in New York City. It took me a while to get the New York thing going on, because I had a little tiny house on the beach in Malibu when As the World Turns called. And so I had to move from my Malibu on the beach to the middle of Manhattan. And I remember taking a cab one of the first weeks I was there, and I'm really bad with change and money, and I can't. And I tipped the guy, and what I thought was appropriate, and I got out of the cab, and he rolled down the window and threw it at me. Oh. I said, "Well, welcome to New York City. Here we are."
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, then I acclimated, and I loved Manhattan. I just loved living there. It was wonderful, and working on World Turns.
What did you like about the character of Valerie?
Well, she was a little feisty, and she, had some gumption, and she, she was supposed to be the bitch. The way the character was entered the show is she crashed her airplane. She was flying a plane, and she crashed it in Oakdale. And all I had was a tiny bandette on my forehead from crashing my airplane.
Of course.
Well, you have to look good. So.
Well, and that's an entrance.
Yeah.
Crashing your plane. That's an entrance.
Yeah, I know. It was great. And John Cipher, they brought John Cipher on, and he and I ended up getting married. And I loved him. I actually fell in love with him. He's just such an angel of a sweet man.
Where did you live in the Big Apple?
Huh?
Where did you live in the Big Apple?
Oh, I lived at 34th and 2nd, right in Murray Hill.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah, it was great. It's terrific. I had a great apartment. I really loved it. And again, I was working, so I'd have houses in the Hamptons in the summer and start scuba diving and going to the Caribbean and scuba diving. And so it's a good life. And
then after Oakdale, you went to Bay City.
Very briefly, yeah.
But you worked with some great actors there too, Ron Harper and the late Robert Gentry.
Yeah, terrific. Yeah, really nice.
What do you recall about working with them?
Really just a professional group and smart and polished. They really knew what they were doing and did it well. And by that time, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, definitely.
No more walking around the camera, no.
Not running off camera, too.
Right.
And then I know it was short as well. You spent a little time at One Life to Live.
Yeah, I did. And they hired me for like an Eva Perón character. Her name was Vasquez. And there was a lot of controversy about hiring an Irish person
to play a Vasquez,
who was from Colombia or something, and that's understandable. And one actor in particular was very vocal about it, and I politically I completely understand, but it was really kind of hard on me, when people were saying, well, you shouldn't, you're not from South America or Hispanic or. So it didn't last.
That today, you hear a lot more of that today.
Yeah,
you do. What do you remember? Then came the great role of Sophia Capwell. What do you remember of your agent calling you for that? Did you have to? I know you worked with.
Well, I was in New York, and they asked me to audition, on tape and send it. I didn't come to California to audition. They were auditioning out here, and I didn't get it.
Oh, wow.
No, I didn't get it. So Sophia Capwell was played by another actress. Now, the thing was that Sophia Capwell was still disguising herself in all these weird disguises. But mainly, she was disguising herself as a man, Dominic, as the Dominic disguise. And the Dominic disguise had a full beard and body padding and a full wig and a nose, and the woman who played Sophia Capwell disguising herself as this guy is a lovely woman, and she's a wonderful actor. But I think what happened is that the powers that be changed what we call upstairs, where the producers are. And
oh, yeah.
The Dobsons, Bridget Dobson, was now writing Santa Barbara and created it. And when the first executive producer, left, she said, I want Judith McConnell as Sophia Capwell. And so it happened. And I got a call in New York. It was Thursday night from my agent in California. And I was going out to have dinner with my friends. And they said, he said, you're going to play Sophia Capwell. You're replacing the actress. And he said, you start Monday. I said, what?
God.
What do you mean I start Monday?
I don't know how you actors do that.
I live in New York. He said, no, you got your first set call is Monday. I said, oh my God. So I went out to dinner with my friends and drank too much. And then the first thing I called was a housekeeper and said, help.
Yeah,
And I just locked up my apartment and picked up my kitty cat in the carrier and flew to Los Angeles and started to work. And then gradually I moved, it took a while. And I lived in a hotel. I lived in the Chateau Marmont, which is not bad beauty. Only because they were animals, and I had 2 cats. So, and I lived there for a couple of weeks, and then lived with friends, and then rented an apartment, and then rented another apartment. And so it's all very unsettling when you have to, move that quickly.
I've heard that story so many times from actors, and I really don't know. I don't know how I would. Yeah, I don't know how I would react to getting a call like on a Friday and say you have to, your whole life has to be there Monday morning.
And when I got to California, when I got to Los Angeles, and I had to be over at NBC Studios at 10 or something to meet with the producers and the makeup. They wanted me to have a conversation with the makeup artist. And the first thing I said, and the producer, Jill Phelps, was produced, I think,
Yeah.
and Carlos, dear, wonderful, talented Carlos Yegi was the head of makeup. And I said to him, you don't still use spirit gum to glue on beards and hair and stuff, do you? And he went, yeah, well, so don't worry about a thing, honey. We're all going to, it's going to do it. Well, spirit gum is the worst, sticky. It's glue. It's just, you can't get it off. It's always been used in the theater for wigs. I had eyebrows, a nose. They puckered up my skin with eyelash glue, full beard, gloves so you couldn't see my hands were feminine, full body padding, a hat, this stupid hat. And I looked so silly. It was just, and then I really tried to do my work and to say, okay, and I'd follow men around down when they're walking to see if I could get the male gate. And I'd try to, put my hips in a different way and not move them. And I have one picture of me in the tweed jacket and a tie and the big hat, sitting there. And I had my leg, one leg crossed over the other, my ankle.
Like a man does.
Like a man thing. And I looked so stupid. I never pulled it off. I was so unbelievable. I couldn't. And I took that picture and I blew it up to like a 11 by 14. And I sent it to my parents for Christmas. And I said, Merry Christmas from your beautiful daughter.
Oh my God, that's the best.
But
how long did you have to do that?
I never could get it. I looked so silly. I just
how
was
long
not.
Did you have to do
finally,
it?
I could, but the audience was so fascinated by the character that and they were getting all kinds of mail, so they kept elongating it. And they said, oh, it'll only be another couple of weeks, honey. Oh, no, just until the end of January. No. And my face was raw. And I'd stand in front of the makeup mirror by myself at night with this orange stuff. It's an adhesive. It takes adhesive off with a brush and like just an inch at a time trying to get this glue off my face and oh God, it was awful. But then it got to be more fun because I got to do all kinds of different characters.
Wow. How long do you think you did it in total?
The Dominic thing?
Yeah.
Probably 4 months, 5 months.
Wow.
I think I started in September and I think Dominic went through January. I know it's been a long time. I don't remember exactly, but it was a long time in that makeup.
Well, there are a lot of Santa Barbara fans watching today who are so excited to see you here. One of them is, I don't know their name because they go by Santa Barbara fans, and they are French, and they first wanted to know how you and your daughter are doing.
We're just wonderful. Actually, my phone's been buzzing. She's trying to get a hold of me. She had a baby last May, and I am so in love with this little girl. I'm so joyful and happy.
What's her name?
Remy.
Oh,
Remi, Remy.
Beautiful.
And so I moved to be closer to my daughter because I take care of Remy 4 days a week. Yay! So
that
good.
Must be the best.
It is. And Remy and I have a great relationship. And sometimes when my daughter comes home, Remy doesn't want to go to Mama. she wants to stay with grandma, which doesn't go over very well. And
Yeah,
I
I
said,
bet.
oh God,
That's
thank
beautiful.
thank everything you can thank that you've got someone taking care of your baby that that the baby loves. And because I
100%.
had
And
a lot of
trust, not only love,
hired help,
trust.
and there was problematic. It's really difficult to get good childcare.
But trust.
Yeah, yeah,
Trust.
and and that she trusts. So my daughter and Remy's father are getting married in December,
Very nice.
and so everything is pretty nice. It's pretty good.
Good. And their second question was, what is your best memory from your Santa Barbara days?
That's like over 9 years of, I think one of my fondest memories is how impressed I was with my fellow actors' work. There was a period of time where the writing was excellent and we had such good actors on the show. I mean, they're just terrific. And we all used to walk, there are monitors all over the halls and in the makeup room. And you'd be rushing around getting into makeup and wardrobe or, always running lines. But, we'd not just, we'd all just stop and watch each other's scenes. I mean, and I just remember watching and thinking, my gosh, they're good. It's just really, it was terrific to be able to be around that kind of quality work. And in a daytime arena, which, doesn't give you much time to do anything except like get it out, get it on, get it out. And it was really, really wonderful acting.
Well, I mean, here we are 28 years later and the
Don't say that.
I know, but it's crazy since the show went off the air. Can you share memories of your on-screen children, Marcy, Robin, and Todd?
Yeah. Todd and I laughed all the time. We just giggled. He's funny too. He's just such a funny guy. And so many times he and I would kind of be in the background of the family quarrel. Cece would be yelling about something with somebody else. And all I kind of had to say, now Cece, now, just pat, now Cece, calm down. And Todd didn't have much to do. So Todd and I would just we'd take a piece of lint and I'd take it off his jacket and put it on my shirt. So the camera couldn't really see. And then he would take it off my shirt and put it on his face. And then we'd crack each other up. I mean, we would just start laughing. We would just do childish things like that when we weren't active in the scene. But he was so much fun and so funny. Robin Wright is the most beautiful person I have ever seen. She's so gorgeous and lovely and real down to earth and real. And she was a neophyte. I mean, she hadn't had any experience. And boy, did she pay attention. And I'd watch her watching scenes and I'd watch her, she was learning and she was improving and she never overplayed anything. She never did it too big. And she turned out to be a beautiful actress. And certainly, I mean, none of us were surprised that she had a movie star career because she's just who she looked like and what she was. And she just nice and great to work with. I just loved her. Marcy, it was a little more difficult. It was kind of hard sometimes to get the warmth going and but my gosh, could she act? I mean, she was just wonderful. And all the stuff with she and A, I mean, that's where you just stop when you're walking down the hall at a monitor and watch their scenes because they were just so good.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, she could just her eyes. And I just love watching her. I just thought she was really fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the entire cast of Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it really
I,
good.
I interviewed A. He's such a talent himself, A. Martinez as well, and watching him and Marcy is magic.
Yeah.
Amy was asking, what were your favorite storylines with Jed Allen?
You guys are not going to believe this, but none of us can remember.
No, they know. Their memories, Judith.
Even God, none of them. What we do is we come in and you learn lines, and
then,
study, and then you do the show and go home, and and then it all goes out of your head, because then you got to learn the next day's script or the next week or whatever. They were always pulling he and I apart, and then putting us back together, and pulling us apart and putting us back together, and that was fun. I mean, it was fun to play. It was fun to play the get mad scenes at each other. Sophia was such a nice person, and so I like to be a little tougher, and so when they would write me like that stuff, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I remember we had there was a fashion. I did a fashion show or something. He bought me stuff, or he was buying me stuff, and I got to show off the dresses, and it was pretty sexy. It was fun. It was, yeah. But I don't remember all the specific stories.
Yeah. No, that's okay. And Jordan was asking about Carrington Garland, who played Kelly Capwell.
Yeah. Oh, she's an angel.
Jordan said you two had amazing chemistry.
Oh, she's darling and wonderful. I was crazy about her. Just loved working with her. I'd like to see her. I think she started doing some stuff on the Bay, and I just kind of left that show. And I'm sorry, because I would love to work with her again.
Did you enjoy the Bay? And you got to reunite with Nicholas Coster there. Yeah,
Nikki. Yeah, I didn't have a lot to do on the Bay, and it was kind of, I just thought, they weren't really writing me. And again, it was just this kind of being in the background and being the mother, and so it wasn't real exciting for me. But it's a good group of people, terrific.
But you were at Santa Barbara. You were paired with Charles Bateman, Jed, Nicholas. I mean, pretty
heavy duty guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they brought on Chip Mayer, beautiful, gorgeous Chip Mayer, who, for my love interest, the younger man. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Is there a role, or a daytime role, or any role that you think you learned the most from?
No, I mean, Miranda Bishop was fun because she was really bitchy. That was really fun. And Aunt Miranda. And I worked with Ray Liotta.
Oh, wow.
Before Ray Liotta was a big star, and he was fabulous to work with. I mean, he was just magic to work with. That was terrific.
Oh, I bet. I mean, again, I mean, there's so many talented people who've come out of daytime.
Yeah.
Really. You also appeared on one of my all-time favorite comedies, Cougar Town. How was that experience for you?
Say that again.
Cougar Town.
Cougar Town. Yeah, it was great. I mean, when you're not a regular on a show, on a series, when you're just jobbing in for a day or two, it's hard, because it's not your group and it's not your set, and you don't know anybody. You're just coming in cold. So, I remember doing the scene with the lead,
Courtney
Yeah.
Cox.
Courtney Cox. And I was saying to her, I was complimenting her to him, and I was saying, "Oh well, she's really got it going on, or she's really a find," or so. I don't remember the dialogue was. And we did the scene, and the director came over to me and he said, "Judith, your enthusiasm for what you think of Courtney was great, but it really looked like you had a crush on her yourself. So if you could just back off a little bit and just kind of split the difference, as they always tell you, split the difference." I said, "Oh, sorry. Okay."
That's very funny. I love that.
And I saw it, and when I saw it, it was, I was really very, complimentary, but not, boy, she's really hot.
Is there a role that you've, always been dying to play on stage?
Anything in the classics, anything in Shakespeare. That stuff is such a challenge, and it's much fun. And I have a tendency to be big. You probably haven't noticed.
I haven't. Not in the least.
No, and it kind of lends that work kind of lends itself to my energy.
And it's so interesting because you said your early start was all theater.
Yeah. And
then you've worked nonstop in television.
Yeah.
Do you miss the stage?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just miss working. I just want to work all the time. And theater's coming back, and now finally, it's been such a tough couple of years. But so I hope that that's in my future. I hope that I do have more opportunity to walk the boards again.
Fans would love it. Fans would love it. One of our fans, Gregory, was asking, would you do soaps again?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
They need to get you back on there.
Yeah, that would be fun. It'd be great. Jed said to me, he said, "I want to die with a soap opera script on my chest."
Wow.
Meaning that he wanted to continue working daytime as long as he possibly could. We lost him. That's been a sad and early, it's just
too young.
He and I had kind of lost touch. And he called, I talked to him once when he had been in the hospital, and I called to see how he was, and he seemed kind of fuzzy, but I didn't know he was as ill as he was. And I went to his funeral, and I talked to his boys and said, "I'm so sorry I wasn't around, and I wasn't, with him." And they were just sweet, and they said, "Well, we all were." And, he had a wonderful family. And, but I think, his wife died before he did, and suddenly in her sleep. And it was hard, really hard for him, really hard for Jed.
Wow.
But we had a great friendship. I look at all those scenes now on, YouTube and stuff, and it's like we're always kissing and the stuff going on. And it's like, my God, we look like we're in love. And we were never in love. I thought, wow, we really played that great. Look at us. But we were friends, but we had one time where we had a huge fight. I had been holding back from being angry with him about some stuff he does. And I've been holding it in for a year or 2 years or something. And I finally, in rehearsal, in our morning rehearsal, just went off. And of course, that was going off in front of the other actors who might have been in the scene, and the director and the PA. And I just said, "You always you do, And he just became livid, and he was volatile. He's a very emotional guy and volatile. And we had our scripts in our hands, because we're rehearsing. And he took his script and he pulled it back and he went, wah, on my script. Didn't hit. And my script went flying out of my hand across the room. And there was silence. Everyone was, oh my God. And we wouldn't speak to each other. I mean, it was so childish of us. And finally, Jill Phelps, who was our executive producer, came on set down, when the producer walks on set, it's like, uh-oh. And we
Pay attention.
Yeah. And she said, you two, stop it. Like we were 7. And she said, you guys don't even look at each other. You're playing scenes together and you won't even look at each other. And so we did stop it and we did apologize. And when my daughter I didn't know this, but when my daughter was born, you have time to tell you the story?
Yeah, for sure.
When I adopted my daughter at her birth, and the day she was going to be born, it was a scheduled C-section, and I hadn't told anybody except my parents and my closest friends, but nobody at work, and because I didn't want it to get out in case there were problems, and it's very personal. And so I stopped. John Conboy, I think, was our producer then, and I stopped him. He was walking past my dressing room, and I said, John, I need to talk to you about something. And he came in and he sat down. I don't think he really liked to be bidden into the actor's dressing room, but he did.
I know, John. No.
I said, I'm going to have a baby on Friday, and I don't want to come to work. He said, what? And so I explained to him, and I said, I'm in a group scene. All I'm doing on Friday is a group scene. And I don't have any dialogue except now Cece. And I said, I could easily be written out of it because it's just, I'm not doing anything. And it's not pertinent for Sophia to be there. And he said, well, no, you have to come to work. I said, what? No, you have to come to work. You don't have to come to rehearsal in the morning. I'll let you out of rehearsal in the morning, but you need to be here for dress rehearsal and taping. And I wanted to take my hands,
I bet.
So I said, all right. So my daughter was born in the morning, Friday morning, and I watched her birth. And they handed her to me. I was right there. And then I gave her first bottle, and I named her, and I stayed with her until the afternoon when I had to be at work. And I was seeing a guy at the time. And so, bless his heart, he drove me. He was at the hospital too. And so my 2 best friends. And he drove me to NBC. And I walked in, and everybody said, where were you? Why weren't you in rehearsal? Are you okay? Are you sick? How come you weren't here this morning? Where were you? And so it was actually wonderful. I should have had cigars because I said, I had a baby. I was having a baby. I had a baby. I have a baby. And I was, what? And Jed, his eyes filled up with tears. And then he got angry. He said, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? And he was hurt that we had such a closeness that I hadn't shared with him. And I said, honey, I didn't talk to you about anybody because there are too many things that could have gone wrong. I mean, it's just, I had to keep it to myself until it, actually the realization it was there, it was a thing. And his sons, that's gonna make me cry. His sons told me at his funeral that my daughter was born in October, that Thanksgiving, he toasted, he said, I'd like to toast Judith and her baby. And he was with his family, I wasn't there. I was with my family, but he and his whole family, he did a toast. So that's the kind of relationship we had.
What day was she born?
What day?
Because I'm an October baby.
Oh, October 12th.
Yeah. Okay, so we're
birthday,
Libras. I'm
2 weeks ago.
October 18th. I'm October 18th.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I have to tell you that one of our fans, Astrid, says, I know what episode it was when Judith's daughter was born.
She said what? I know
She
what?
knows the episode when your daughter was born.
She does?
A fan says she knows exactly what episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's crazy because I don't remember. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Wow.
I would like to say something to my fans who try to contact me on social media. I just don't do social media, and I feel so badly about not responding and not being active. And the reason I set up the site, is because we did a celebrity cruise 2 years ago. So it was Santa Barbara cast, and I wanted to promote it. And we were going to do another one last year, and we might still do another one next year. But the reason, I'm not active is because I'm not talking about the cruise. But I really feel badly when people, they say hi, and I go down. I'm just private, and I don't do social media. But forgive me, everybody. I'm sorry.
But talking to them and saying thank you, they all hear you right now. So thank you for that. Would you mind talking to me about adoption? What would you say to somebody who's considering it today?
Well, I did what's called an open adoption, and that is it doesn't go through. It goes through. It's open private adoption, and the private adoption means that there's an attorney that handles everything, and open means that the birth parent or parents chooses whomever they want as the parent or parents of their child, and they expect communication from the adoptive parents. So it's all open. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing. So it was a single woman who was the birth mom, and she called me. She had decided on a couple, and she was from Texas, and they flew her out to Los Angeles, and it was almost time for her to give birth. She was still allowed to fly back and forth, and this was the first time they met face to face. They had been communicating on the phone and through snail mail. So when she came out to meet them, and then for the weekend, and then she flew back to Texas, they called the attorney, this couple, and said, we've changed our minds. We don't want this baby. And that was after months of kind of cultivating each other. Wow. And the birth mother was devastated, naturally, but a heinous, horrible thing to have happened, and rejection, and because of her bravery in the first place for giving up a baby it's phenomenal. In the meantime, I was wanting to have a child, and I was trying to get pregnant the fun way, and artificial insemination, and I had been taking a Clomid, which is a drug to make you more fertile. And it was just making me crazy. Really crazy. It was terrible. So I had contacted this attorney like 6 months prior to this whole story. And I had a long, like a 4-hour meeting, and I left his office saying, my God, I can adopt as a single woman. Okay, now I know that. I'm going to try to get pregnant. So 6 months later, I hadn't, and I couldn't take this medication any longer. And I called his office and said, I'm ready to go. And I remember sitting, I had a glass table, dining room table, and I was looking out over the garden in the back. And I remember saying, and I will take a fast situation. Now, it was like the words, just, I was reading the words as they came out of my mouth. I thought, where did that come from? I will take a fast situation. What does that mean? I never said it like that. I hadn't planned it. It's like someone put these words in my mouth and they get out. And simultaneously, the birth mother had been rejected. So the attorney gave her my name and phone number and 2 or 3 other couples. And I was supposed to put in a separate line. This is before cell phones. I was supposed to put in a separate line in my house so my own personal phone wouldn't be used. And I had kind of been dragging my feet. And I just hadn't gotten around to it. And I came home from work from Santa Barbara, and my phone was ringing, and I walked in the house, and I said, hello. And this voice said, hi, my name is, and David Radis gave me your number. I said, okay, here we go. Okay. And so that started it. And I just loved her. And she and I had I thought, a lovely, sweet relationship. And I felt like I was parenting her a little bit. And she needed it. I mean, she'd been through a lot. This lovely, lovely young woman. So we didn't have a lot of time. And I said, you're not going to have to come to California again. I will come to you. And it was Labor Day weekend, and I had to go back east for some personal appearance stuff. And then I flew to Texas. And I was scared to death, just scared to death. And it was just, and she and I met, and we had dinner, and I couldn't quit talking. And she didn't say a word. I couldn't quit talking because I was so nervous. And I just, when I'm so nervous. And I kept thinking to myself, shut up, Judith. Just shut up. And then and she just sat there. Wow. But the next day, she had an 18-month-old child. And the next day, I met that little girl. And that little girl just reached her arms out to me. And her mom said she's never done that to someone she's just met. It was magic. And then the next day, it was Sunday, and I met her mother and her sister and a friend of hers, she called her an older friend. It was like, she was like 40. But the birth mother wanted approval of, they wanted opinions from people that she knew and trusted about me. And we all went to which is a very sweet, smart idea. We all went to Japanese gardens, and they had koi ponds, and it was beautiful. And we were walking through the gardens, and the birth mother said, I want to talk to you. Can we just move ahead? And I said, sure. I'm telling these stories, it makes me sob. And she said, I want you to be the mother of my baby. And she said, will you do it? And I said, yes. And she said, you won't change your mind. I said, you have my word of honor, my heart, my soul, and my word of honor. I would never do that to you, ever. I will, no matter what, I would never change my mind. And that was Labor Day weekend, and my daughter was born in October. I didn't have any time. I went home and said, oh my God.
Get the house ready.
I had to do a baby's room and read books. Wow. And it was
Thank you so much for sharing that, Judith. That is so beautiful.
But it is beautiful. And the thing is that, and she and I kept in touch until circumstances happened that she chose not to. Okay. Pretty much. And I think about her every day.
She changed your
And
life.
I would have kept, but it's such a good way because, if you're giving up a child, you know where that child is and with whom.
Yeah.
And if you're adopting, you know where that baby came from, and you can share joys and happiness and pictures. And, I think it's really civilized. So that's the story.
Before I let you go, then if you can articulate, how did having Gwendolyn change your life?
How does having her change my life?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the greatest joy I've ever known. It's my baby, my family. And now I have another little baby.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. You want to see a cute picture?
Yes, please do.
This is when Gwen was little.
Oh.
And do you have time to show you my granddaughter?
Yes,
I
please
don't know
do.
if that's a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't. Quickly.
Well, yeah, because I don't know if her mom would want you to.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
agree.
Oops,
If mom, yeah, but that is a beautiful story. And one of our fans, Rebecca, said how beautiful she adopted 4 children herself as a single woman.
Hey, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. Judith, thank you so much for spending the hour with me. Thank you so much. I know the fans loved seeing your face and hearing your stories.
Thanks.
You have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you to Judith McConnell for stopping by. Please take a minute to subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. Turn on notifications if you have yet to do so for reminders of all upcoming shows. I will see you all next week. Have a great weekend and join us Wednesday when Michael Damian stops by to say hello. Bye, everybody.